patriarchal society, right? And there's certain things about patriarchy that we are afraid to call out, things like culture, right? Things like male domination, coming from this idea of culture and what it is being a man in a relationship, for example, right? Those things we don't pay attention to that. I think we don't pay attention to why is it happening.
These are conversations with my sisters.
Because chances are, if they were to go through the same, they wouldn't. They'd fight till the end. But with us, it's like, we're not willing to do that.
Yeah, yes, you saying that makes me think, Ukuti, we have actually changed. I think though using the word celebration or celebrating women, it changes the whole meaning behind Women's Day. Because like Wayanda is saying, we now expect presents, we expect to be given our breakfast in bed, you understand? Like we are losing the plot of why this thing was done in the first place, why those women woke up and marched to the union buildings, and we are changing it into a session of being showered by men, of receiving gifts for being a woman. Yes, I want to be celebrated. Yes, I want to be acknowledged. But you're right. Days like this should actually focus on talking about the issues that we face. Because I think of the things that we're still fighting for, that even generations before us have been fighting for. Things like women empowerment, gender equality, inequality, education, gender-based violence, sexual harassment, things like uktwala. Should we still be fighting for those things even now? Like, isn't it, in my head, we should be on a different platform as women. If we've started fighting for these things in 1956, which is years ago, like years and years ago, but we're still fighting for the same things. So now, is this really a celebration? Is it really a day that we should be celebrating only being a woman, or is it also a day where we should be calling each other out, where we should be educating people? Because I feel like we're losing the plot, guys. Like it's really, you understand, we are losing direction when it comes to what was the whole thing behind it being created in the first place. Why did women wake up on that day and decide to do what they did? Is there any change from when they did it till now? So I think these are the things that we're supposed to look at, instead of only enjoy being showered with gifts and food and stuff like that. I think Lorna, as women, we need to reshape our thinking. We need to reshape on how we look at situations, because now we are also losing it, guys. As much as we're saying brothers should talk to brothers, but not as women, I think we need to go back to the drawing board and be like, why did our mothers have to go through so much for us to be where we are today, to receive flowers? I don't think so, guys. I really don't think so.
I think if you're to be celebrated, like, I need to be celebrated every day,
Yes.
Like, I don't want the 9th of August to be the only day where I feel like, oh, they're seeing me, like they're celebrating me, So it's also like, it's a question of like, if you want the day to be about you being celebrated as a woman, what have you achieved? Because honestly, the celebratory shouldn't even be about you. It should be about you highlighting what the women in 1956 did, and you being like, we honor them, we celebrate them, we thank them, But we've made it about us, getting flowers and being like, celebrate me every single day. Why do you need the 9th of August and a whole year? 365 days, you want to celebrate me once? For me, for me, honestly, like, that's not enough, I feel like I can't have, it's like we're only allowed to take a break on the 9th of August. You know, that's like the only day where we get to hear men say things like, "Oh, women are beautiful," you know, "Women are this, women are that," you know, which also like is the reason why to this day and for like a very long time I've hated people saying, women are rocks, what tinta bafazi, what tinta, it's like I'm not a rock. Like first of all,
I think,
Not
you know,
bad.
the problem is,
count me
I read
out.
up, speaking about that, Watindu Faz, Watindi Pogot, I read up about it, ne? And because I think, was it last year or last of last year, we had like this march that we did to Constitution Hill, ne? And I was part of that march. And one of the guest speakers was this woman from Skim Sam. What's her name? Rachel's mother. Celia Kunutu. Yes. She was one of the guest speakers. Oh, yes, Shoki. That's her name. And she mentioned that Watintum Faz, Watintum Pokoto, that she's been raised on that you strike a woman, you strike a rock. And I was like, why did they say that in 1956? Why did they create that song that spoke about Watintum Faz, Watintum Pokoto? And from what I found was that it's a famous resistance song to symbolize the courage and strength expressed at the Women's March in 1956. That was the reason why they were saying Watintum Fazi, Watintum Pokot. It was to express the strength of a woman, right? But how they are using it today is not the same as how they used it in 1956. Because what you're saying right now, I agree, I'm not a rock. Do you understand? So I think people take that mentality and they use it in the wrong way. Because now they say we are rocks, that means we can stomach being beaten up, we can stomach being raped. Have you heard
I
that
hate
saying?
that thing.
I hate it.
I
I hate it.
hate it
Why
especially.
must I suffer? Why must I suffer to be seen? Why must I suffer to be heard? Why must I cry? Why must I be in pain to be visible to people out
Or
there?
to be
So
even
I
seen
think
as a strong woman, right?
exactly.
That's
Why
true.
must
And
like
goes back
yeah?
to what we were originally speaking about, being a woman in South Africa. Being a woman is synonymous with being strong, with being a rock, with being, especially a black woman, guys. Yo, being a black
They
woman,
will tell
you
you.
grow up and they tell you, well, to know you are a woman, you need to hold down the family, you are the neck, or whatever crap they say. But like, it's 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 saying that it's okay to treat women in
Yeah.
however way you want, because at the end of the day, I'm a rock, I'm gonna come through,
And
and
You
I'm gonna
strong.
be triumphant in all the things that, I mean, yes, we are strong, no doubt about it, we are strong.
I'm not. I'm sorry. Like
but
I'm not
but
strong.
now that saying
No,
of but then
No.
that saying of uyatintum faz, uyatintum pokoto doesn't also shape you as a woman on how you do things, on
yeah,
how you face situations and
on
address
even how much
situations.
you take in, as
Yeah.
in all, whether you're talking about relationships, whether you're talking about at work, whatever, it shapes the way in which you take people's nonsense. Like, if we are begazela, like you continue
Yes.
taking things, because at the end of the day, you're a woman and you're
Imagine.
strength personified.
Like
So
I've stopped saying, or like when I'm sometimes like I affirm myself, right? And I've stopped saying things like, oh, you strong, because I have strength, yes. I'm not strong, because I feel like the minute I say I'm strong, it means anything that comes my way, whether it's abuse, whether it's being humiliated, I'm gonna hold it. And no, I'm not. For me, I always say to people that there's strength in you being vulnerable, right? There's so much strength in being vulnerable. And for the longest time, especially Black women, we are taught that never allow yourself to be vulnerable. Never. What? People commit suicide, right? Because they've been told like all their lives that they're strong. And suddenly when when they get into a space where they're vulnerable, they don't allow themselves to go through that emotion. You know, to them it's wrong. Like I can't go through this, you know, emotion. You know, it means I'm no longer strong. It means I'm weak. And you know, being vulnerable is not a synonym to being weak. You know, it's not.
Mhm.
And women, I think we just, the narrative needs to change. Women are not strong. Women are human. They feel pain the same way a male counterpart would feel pain. We need to stop glorifying women who are begazelling. There's nothing cute about that. There's nothing beautiful about
About
you
that.
constantly putting yourself under so much like marginalization because you want to come out on top and be called strong. There's really nothing great about that, you know. And I think we just out to stop that. It's
And
not cute
but
at
guys,
all.
I think not personally when they were singing the song of "You Strike a Woman, You Strike a Rock," I think they were talking about a collective of women coming together, standing up for something. They
Mm.
were not saying we are as a woman alone. They were not talking to a woman on her own, but they were talking about a, like yeah, women coming together, a collective of women coming together and standing for something that they believe in and fighting for something that they believe in. That's why they created this thing of Watinta Bafaz, Watinta Mpokoto, because together we can do so much.
Mm.
But alone, you won't go as far as you would go if we come together as a collective and fight for something. But that doesn't mean we don't feel any pain. Like I understand, that does not mean we do not cry. That doesn't mean that we have to be vulnerable to rape. We have to be like, we have to accept all this nonsense that is given to us, and we just have to say, because I'm umfazi, it's fine. I can begazela. We can't begazela nonsense, guys. It really has to stop. The women in 1956 were not saying "Watintu umfazi, watintu mpokoto" because we can handle rape. We cannot handle rape. We cannot handle being abused. They did not sing
Violence
that song.
whatsoever.
Really, I feel like people, we need to go back and start reading, eh? I
Mm.
think the problem is that we feed off from what we hear and we do not read. We need to go back and start reading about why things were done the way they were done and why certain things were said the way they were said. Like, I agree. Me, I'm not a rock, guys. I really can't.
And I think
So
there's absolutely nothing wrong. And you know what? Women who literally perceive themselves as rock, there's really nothing wrong with you perceiving yourself as a rock, you know. But also just be mindful, you know. I think also it's like it's the power of language. You know, the language that we use sometimes is the one thing that gets us in trouble, you know, because you stand tall and you tell people that I'm a rock, I am strong, I am this, I'm a rock is something that withholds the force of anything.
Yeah.
Okay, so are you telling me right now that whether it be problems, whether it be abuse, if certain things were to be done to you because you're a rock, you're gonna handle all those things and flourish after? No, 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 no.
Mm.
I think times have changed and we ought to be very careful of the language that we use. Because nowadays people, like, I understand like what Tintum Fast, what Tintum Bokoto, then it meant something so profound, you
Yeah.
know. But what people have done over time is that they've changed the narrative of it to suit their own, you know, beliefs or whatever. You know, men will tell you that, like, that's the reason why, like, men will tell you that you know, I can cheat on her, she'll take me back because she's strong. But if you cheat on me, I'm not gonna take it, you
I'm not.
know, because I'm not strong.
I'm
Like
not strong.
things that we hear. And sometimes you just like, you know, and there are women that take pride in that. You know,
Mm.
to say, oh, me, I can deal with it. Shami, I'm strong. I can deal with it. You know, Shami, and I know I won't do it to him because if I do it to him, then he's just gonna die. No, that's called men love themselves. You know, and with us, we are willing to put ourselves in a block where you can see what this is fire. You're able to you're willing to put yourself there just so you can be glorified. I'm sorry, like, no,
And just
ma'am.
to add on that, it's not like I completely agree. It's not, but it's not just the language, it's also the narrative that comes with the language. Because we know that in terms of language, there are words that our great great grandfathers used to use, but they mean something completely different now. And in terms of what Ngosha was saying, personally, that's a narrative I can definitely ride by, in terms of the narrative of what's in the but the narrative that we have about it now is very different. And it's, again, it's like, it's being a gatekeeper to patriarchy, basically. And it's saying that we can't take anything. And what I meant when I say I am strong, I'm strong, but I'm like, my strength should not be a gate or a door for you to use, in order to get to me. Like, my strength is not, it's not for you. It's not to be used by you. It's not to validate you. My strength has nothing to do with you. So you need to respect me, because my strength has nothing to do with you. So again, I think that what's Ayanda was also saying, I want to touch on that, is that we live in a society where we've constantly been taught as women to be people pleasing. That's why we stay in situations where we aren't supposed to stay in. That's why we don't raise our voices when we're supposed to raise our voices. That's why we don't stand with certain people or certain things when we are supposed to. And again, it goes back to, guys, the unity that the women of 1956 had. It's a dream. It is a dream. It's a dream. I could organize a march now. Similar. And again, we have technology, we have cell phones, we have Twitter, guys, we have Twitter. We have Twitter. But I could try and organize something as profound as what the 1956 women had done, and it wouldn't even be half as good as how it was. And it just really goes to show that the narrative for Watsintofazi has been lost, because we don't have that unity as women. So it's not to say that the same caliber of women don't exist, but we live in such an individualistic society that we've kind of sort of lost it. And as much as our voices, we have prospects and opportunities for our voices to be heard, but as a collective, our voices aren't heard. And if we were to come together and speak the same language and narrate the same scripts, then, guys, 1956 would be nothing compared to what we would be able to do with all of the technology that we have access to now.
Technology and education, guys. Like, we've been given opportunities to educate ourselves. So, like Snotile was saying, that we could do more, guys. It's just that because of, we could do way more than our parents did. Do you understand? They did whatever they did with the knowledge they had at that time, but we have more knowledge now. So if we could come together and stop undermining each other and stop disrespecting each other and stop wanting somebody who's influential and out there to say something before we actually follow, then we could make a difference. We're capable, guys. Women of that caliber exist today. It is just that they are silenced. They are silenced because they are not known, and they are afraid to come out because they're going to be judged and squashed in the process.
Ridiculed. And I think, and you know what? I think of, when we're talking about this, right? And I think of a very controversial figure, right? And we're gonna be cutting this very soon. But I think of a very controversial figure, right, in society today, a woman who is loved by many, but they love her from a place of, I don't want people to know that I love this woman, I don't want people to know that I love some of the things that she stands for, right? And we might question some of the things that she stands for, but I think one thing that we can never take away from is being able to say the truth when it's time to say it. And that woman, I think, is Nsiki Mazwai. She she's not afraid to say what she wants, and she stands by what she says. And a lot of us, instead of sometimes trying to understand or be supportive of some of the things that she says, I'm not saying agree with everything that she talks about or she says, right? But some of the things that, the truth that she speaks about, she's one person I would say does it really well. She speaks truth to power. We can argue, we can say whatever, but she does it so well, and she isn't afraid to voice her opinion. I think more than anything, we should also be like her in a way, in our truth. If you want to stand for something, stand by it, stand for it, regardless of what people will say to you, how people will say it to you. But she doesn't care. She doesn't care about nobody, you know. And she has the spirit, And I think more than anything, if even in our quest, when we're having these conversations, we need to be, stand by our own truths. So definitely that. Also, we've agreed that, the realities today have changed. What the women in 1956 fought for, the unity that they have, it's something we can only imagine. We do not have it. It's the truth. There's no unity amongst women because we are very judgy. We are very we are cliques. It's like as women, there are cliques, in this country. If she hasn't said it, if that woman hasn't said it, I'm not gonna be for it until she says it. So as we close this, because I see time is no longer on our side, right? But what is the one thing that you would like to leave in this world, right? Whether it be through this conversation, but what's the one thing that you'd like to, like other women out there to hear just before we end this from you as a woman in this country?
So I in one of the webinars that I've been watching, because obviously it's Women's Day and there are gang load of webinars happening right now. Somebody said something that really stuck with me. And she said that she read somewhere that somebody said that they are tired of fighting patriarchy. They now are going to support matriarchy. And I was like, that is so profound, because it goes back to speaking about unity. We don't support each other as women. We are extremely cliquey. If we don't have a famous person in this conversation, it most likely won't really go far. And that's not to say that it won't go far, but it's just saying that we associate, we want to be associated with people that are already known, rather than being associated with courses that speak to us and that speak to our lifestyles and what we are trying to achieve. Secondly, I feel like our legacy is more attached to the consistent actions that we perform, way more than it is attached to our names. And if as women we can say that we are going to consistently perform certain actions rather than wanting to be seen and wanting our names to be out there, then we would be able to support matriarchy way more than and in that way we can combat and fight patriarchy.
I totally agree. I think for me, something that I'd like to leave behind, or something that I would like somebody to hear, is that let us be the change that we want to see as women. So let it start with us first before we expect somebody else out there to change. Let us learn to fix each other's crowns Let us stand together, fight together, and let us learn to sing one song, like you said. Not only follow somebody who's influential, who's out there. And I think this is a time where we need to be the voice of those who have silenced. We need to be the voice of Bokarabo, Bo Uyinene. You know, those women that were taken away from us, they don't have a voice anymore. But those who are still alive, those who still have the opportunity to see yet another day, those who still have the opportunity to see the sunrise again, I think we need to start being the voice of those who have been silenced, because they can no longer do anything. But we are here, we can still do something. So let us come together and start being those voices.
I think the ground has been made fertile, you know, by the sacrifices of women that have fought in the struggle, you know, and not only women that fought in 1956 or that marched to Union Building in 1956, but women from Ekasi, you know, women who were fighting. You know, I think the ground has been made fertile, and really now it's all up to us what we want to do, whether we want to continue fighting the injustices of this country, whether we want to continue fighting the injustices of just being women in this country, where we are continuously marginalized, where we are continuously being used as quotas, you know, to feel, you know, this ideology that there's democracy or there's equality in this country, you know. I think more than anything, one thing that I'd love to leave is that it's possible, you know, we can be united. We just choose not to be. I don't think unity is an impossible thing. You know, our grandmothers, our great grandmothers, they lived on Ubuntu. You know, they understood what Ubuntu is and what it meant to be a person in society. You know, we just choose not to follow in their footsteps. You know, I think because we've become a very selfish nation. You know, unless something benefits me, I'm not going to be a part of it. And I think we just out to really, you know, fix that real quickly. You know, we're not understanding of gender-based violence or violence against women because it hasn't happened to me, because it hasn't happened to my family. You know, and really it is sad, you know, that before you have to understand something, it has to happen to you first. You know, what happened to just us being there, just us believing, whether it's victims or whether it's women, but just being there for each other, you know, because, you know, together, man, we
Do a
can
lot.
stand. You know? Together we can fight the injustices like head on, but until we want to be together, until we want to fight those things together, regardless of who is who, what is what, and not being mindful of our positions in society, then we're always going to be just women in this country. And unless we take ourselves seriously, we really can't expect men or anyone else to take us seriously. It is our responsibility, and it falls solely with us. So yeah, so thank you so much, ladies, for the conversation today.
Thank
Um,
you.
it's you know it's months like these that I am very scared, you know,
Yeah.
because it's like as much as we continuously, you know, having these conversations, it's like also our counterparts are also continuously trying to up the stakes in terms of statistics, you know, because I think every August we our country just goes into this very panicky mode where it's only the 15th today. By the 30th, you would have heard that so many women were raped. So many, and it's like, you're just celebrating us now, now. Now you are killing us. People must just take this. And
Yeah.
so, yeah, thank you so much for joining in today's conversation. And yeah, love, peace. Bye.
Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and switch on the notification bell. Leave a comment down below and join the conversation.